Hi, my name is Nicola and today we are going to be reviewing the Archer and Olive Acrylograph Pens. We're going through a bunch of questions we got on Instagram about them, so strap in and get yourself ready for what I can only explain as exciting! Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm super excited. Today we're going to be reviewing the much anticipated and much awaited Archer and Olive Acrylograph Pens. Now I am mid-move in my craft room office. You can see that it is all go at the moment. I'm just swapping rooms around a little bit, so doing a spring clean while I'm in there. And I obviously wanted to finish up this video because I have been so excited or so anticipating the arrival of these acrylograph pens, and I don't know what I was expecting when they came out or when I knew that they were coming out. I had no idea what to expect, and now that they're here in my hands, I can honestly say that they are better than I expected. They write like gel pens, but they have the same kind of blending quality as a Posca pen, and then dry as almost like a sharpie with no bleed. It's very confusing, and they blend like watercolors, but they're not watercolors, and they're opaque, and they've got all these different elements to them, and I have no idea what Bonnie has put into this mystery magic juice. And yes, absolutely, I got these to review as part of the Archer and Olive design team, absolutely. Regardless of that, however, I probably would have bought them just out of curiosity's sake, and let me tell you, I would have been so happy to receive these. Now, spoiler alert, we got, as the design team, we got the full set. So we got both the 3mm and the 0.7mm, and we got all the color sets, which was really awesome. Spoiler alert, my absolute favorite is the 0.7mm and the color palette of the tropical color palette. But those are just totally my colors anyway. Oh, stop it. So I get really excited about those anyway. So I would have, if I wasn't getting these to review, I probably would have bought that just to test them out, and highly recommend that particular combination if that's your color vibe. We're gonna go through all the colors. I'm gonna go through the nibs. I'm gonna go through some troubleshooting as well, because I did hit a couple of troubleshooting issues as I was starting to use them for the first time. And yeah, all I can say is mind blown. There is nothing on the market right now that is even similar to this. It doesn't dry with a chalky effect. It dries beautifully like a really thick gel pen, and I tried the white pen on a whole bunch of other media as well, and it was amazing. And the fact that it blends like it just blows my mind how cool these are. And I can genuinely say that I probably would have said that regardless of if this was a sponsored review post or not. That's how cool they are. The anticipation of these arriving was absolutely worth it, and I am super duper excited to show them to you. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to show you on a couple of different different colored pages as a nod to my Neapolitan. I'm going to show you on all of those as well. So let's get started, and by the end of this as well, I'm also going to give you a quick tour of the new office, because hopefully by the time I've finished editing this, the new office is ready to go as well. The first thing we're going to do to give you an idea around the size of the tip is take the tip out of the blender pen. You can see it's a fibrous tip and it's quite big. You can see the size comparison here with the dots on the dot grid. This will be quite flexible, and we're going to pop it in, and we're going to give it almost a pumping action after shaking the pen until it's ready. So let's get started with our first color, which is going to be black. Shake, pump it down so that the ink can start flowing onto the nib. If it hasn't started flowing yet, shake, 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 and keep shaking until you start seeing some of that color flowing into the nib. You're going to want to press down a couple of times, almost in a pumping action, to get some more of that ink down into the nib. Once it starts flowing into the nib, you're going to be able to start seeing it. If it isn't, shake, 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 shake. Here you can see the ink is starting to move down into the nib. I'm going to keep shaking and get that shakety shake, 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 shakety shake, all of that ink into the top of my nib. Using the pumping action again, just going to keep pressing until there is a smooth and even flow at the bottom of my pen. I'm super duper excited to get started. Just get to the bottom already. Shake, 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 shake. So now that we're at the bottom, it's beautiful and smooth to write with. This is the first time I'm writing with these pens and I am just blown away. Okay, we are now going to do that with all of the other pens. It's going to take a wee little while because you saw how long it takes to shake. Shakety shake, shake, shake. And once I've tested all of them, we're going to do a proper pen test on all of the colors on white, brown, and black paper. Here you can see though I couldn't quite see the color reaching the tip on the white pen, so I just slowed it down to show you. So I thought I'd use the black paper to see when the ink finally reached on the The 0.7mm thick nib is totally different. It's more of a plastic nib, and you can see it's got almost like a housing or a casing, and it's got almost a flow regulator down the bottom. I'm going to pop that in and do exactly the same, where I shake, 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 and give it almost a pump action down the bottom. Here, because of the shape of the nib, the ink flows a lot faster into the nib, so we don't have to shake and press as much as we did with the thicker fiber tips. You can see the flow is really lovely, and it really creates a beautiful look on the black paper. Alright, let's try some layering over the Acrylograph pens. Let's give them a go. I'm giving them a quick blast with the dryer just to see if that helps with layering, but it seems really lovely. We're now going to do a pen swatch test over all of the colors. We're going to start with the 0.7mm colors and then go all the way through to the 3mm colors. You can see here that they're really vibrant over the black Kraft and white paper. Alright, let's talk about troubleshooting. I had a bit of a trouble with one of the nibs that I got with the kind of mustardy yellow pen. The more I pressed, the more it ripped on the inside, and it wouldn't get through into, like, the ink wasn't coming through, and if it was clumping, which was a real problem for me. So I had to get the nib out just to kind of establish what was going on, and I could feel that in there the pump action wasn't going as well as I thought it would. It didn't feel pumpy, it just kept feeling like it was hitting something in the pen. So that is one pen out of all of the pens. So what I did was, because I had the spare tips, I just took the spare plastic tip. You can see here that it's split at the top, so I just took a spare plastic tip from the blender pen and I popped that in and then just started the process again, and it was fine. I found though that because of the kind of plasticky tip that it was really easy to break and bend, and if I wanted to fix it I probably could, and I could probably wash it and use it again. But here you can see I'm just shaking it again to get all the fluid down to the bottom, or the ink down to the bottom, and once I'd replaced the nib then it went really well. Alright, one of the questions that came up was, how does this fare in other notebooks? Here I'm using a 100 GSM paper notebook. It's just one that I had spare lying around, and you can see I'm using quite a bit of ink on the page. I'm also going to create like a little blob so that I can really fill it in and see if there's ghosting or bleeding. Let's have a little look. Alright, let's try on the scribbles that matter. Here we're just filling in a blob as well, and then we're going to put some in the leuchtturm just to see how these all fare together. Now you can see in the leuchtturm there is no bleeding, but there is definitely ghosting, as you can usually see with a leuchtturm. You can see the ghosting coming right through. With the scribbles that matter, there is no bleeding and no ghosting. And with the 100 GSM paper, there was also no bleeding and a little bit of ghosting. I'm also trying the Acrylograph pen over the just a leatherette cover, just to see if it works and stays on in place, and it does. I'm sure that at some point it'll scratch off with use, but it definitely worked as a pen, as an acrylic pen. Now let's have a look at some alternative ways to use this. So here I'm using some ink, and I've blobbed some ink into a palette, and I've used another color to pick up the color, and I'm using it to kind of create an ombre effect. Now I'm using the blending pen to mix the two colors together to see if you can blend them beautifully, and they do. They look fantastic together. Now I'm going to use the fine tip, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to blob some ink in and then use the fine tip to directly pick some ink up into the fine tip and write with the fine tip on the paper. Colors are so opaque, and you can use the white over the blended colors that you've just created. I'm now going to try blob some yellow onto the page, and I'm going to use paint, just normal paintbrush, and some water to see if we can make a blending effect. It really works like watercolor in this regard, and it's absolutely stunning how it creates that effect. I'm also going to see if I can blend the colors together just with a bit of water and my brush to see the kind of effect that it creates if we blend them like a normal watercolor. You cannot, however, reactivate the already dried ink. It just breaks up on the palette. If it's a little bit wet, you can still reactivate it, but you cannot reactivate dry. Now we're going to have a look at how pens react to the Acrylograph pens. We're going to use a Sharpie, we're going to use a whole bunch of other pens that we can write over, and I'm also going to try and make the color bleed through the outer and olive paper, however many layers I can make, just to see if there's any bleeding that happens. So the first pen we're going to use here is the fineliner, and how does that look on the ink? It works beautifully, it flows smoothly. The next thing we're going to do is a brush pen, just a basic brush pen. We're then going to have a look at one of the Inkjoy gel pens, also again works really well. Now we're using the Outline fineliner over the ink as well, and it flows beautifully. Now I'm going to use my Tombow brush pen over the top to see how this responds, and it is equally as lovely. It's very clear, you can see right through, so it's really lovely, and it really creates that beautiful watercolor effect. You can also use this over watercolor, which is very exciting, and you can also use it as a highlighter pen. Alright, you can see me using them here on the alcohol ink work that I had done. They flow beautifully over that as well. I'm going to try layering this over some watercolor. I'm going to put down a watercolor base and then use the acrylographs to draw over the watercolor base. I'm also going to use watercolor paint to write a word, and then use the white acrylograph to highlight the parts of the lettering and use the gray as shading. We're now going to start right from the beginning, and we're going to go through every single color that is in these beautiful packs. You'll be able to see all of them together. I'm really excited about all of them. I haven't divided them up into the groupings that they're in, so not the rainbow, jewel, and tropical. You can see those at the beginning of this post, but this is all the colors together on all three of the different styles of paper. I would absolutely love to hear from you if you have any questions with regards to things we should cover off in our next videos. Really look forward to hearing from you, and head over to Instagram and Facebook and give us a like, comment, follow, and share. Thank you.